Hello and welcome to No One Knows Peter Except You. In this episode of Rocket League Question Time, the question is, how do you know that your perceptions are real? So that's to say, how do I know that my eyesight, my hearing, my touches, my Rocket League radar censoring, how do I know any of that's real? Well, for starters, you know that my radar censoring isn't that real for Rocket League, because when I'm concentrating on such a philosophical question, I don't score or win that much. So maybe just to throw in a goal there to show you that my senses are real in some way, because I like to think that my senses caused my thumbs and my eyesight on the screen caused me in a particular way to score that goal, which is evidence on the scores of the people I'm playing Rocket League with at the moment, and it is also evidence for people watching me. So I like to think that if you're seeing this with your senses, and my senses are causing this to happen, then I like to think that in some way that goal I scored, albeit quite a while ago, may be the reason that perceptions are real. And maybe instead of asking an horrendously difficult question, I should focus on keeping up the proof of my senses by using them to actually be moderately acceptable at Rocket League. Oh, that's good. So it's an interesting question because how can you prove that your senses are real to another person? Like, to yourself, you're sort of in the senses. You know, it's real. It's real for you. Like, because you're sensing it. It's happening. But for another person, they're part of your senses because you can see them and stuff. But you don't know that they can see the same things and their senses are real like yours are. So if you can't prove that other people's are real, and you're another person to someone else, then yours may not be real, which is interesting concept. And a little question for this is, do we see the same colours? Because, like, if we think that everything's, all okay, yeah, I'm real, you're real, well, how do I know that I see the same yellow in the same way that you see yellow? Because to see yellow you just agree on, oh yeah, that's yellow, but you don't know if you see it in the same way. So it's a bit, say, fallible at best, logical deductions involving involving your senses, and how can you be sure of other people's senses? Like, really, the only proof you ever have of your senses being real are sort of included within yourself. And I like to think, well, you can tell people if things are real if you can agree with other people. So if I can agree that something's okay, that something's real, then and you can agree with other people, then it's okay. But if you can't fully prove someone else's senses are real, you can't really fully agree with them, which is another goal scoring opportunity to show that my senses are real. But you don't really 100% know that I sense that. I could just be part of some simulation where you, the person, is the only individual that's experiencing things. And if the world was, if you were part of a simulation, and like we weren't in a massive universe, we were on someone's desktop, maybe you would say that isn't reality. So maybe there is a possibility, but surely if you are a simulation and you're experiencing these things, then you are real in some way, but maybe not in the big sense that you want it to be. So how can I be sure Well, what's my personal belief? Let's go for that. My personal belief is that um, our senses, our senses are real. That's my personal thing, because I just think, like, if your senses aren't real, then nothing's real. To be honest, because you experience everything through your senses. All you read and logical things, and you concede Rocket Leagues at poignant moments, and you just if your senses aren't real, if your perception isn't real, then how can anything be real? How can we be sure that our perception is real? To 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 have any true sense of anything, then you need your senses to be real. And part of my life is Rocket Leaguing, and I want that to be real in some way. But also, I want to score, which is an interesting. So how can we be sure perceptions are real? Well, how can I prove it? It's difficult. I haven't thought of something yet. Maybe there is something out there to prove your senses are real. But what evidence is there for them not being real? And it would be a convoluted reality if you were experiencing things and things weren't really real. And like Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is probably the truth. And I did score twice, but I didn't win. But we did find some sort of, if we want life to be easier, just say our perception's real. That's why it's real. Thank you for watching. I love you. Ciao. Bye now.